Well, hi, and welcome to another LRCC Soundbite. I finished off last week asking whether this might be a year in which you take some time to find out a bit more about who Jesus really was. This week, I've got a story about a really important event in Jesus' life when he was about 30 years old. It's an event where Jesus was very clearly identified as being one of us, but also an event when we see many aspects of who God is all coming together at the same moment, and it's something that is very relatable to things that we still do today. Now, Jesus had a cousin called John. John was a few months older than Jesus, but he'd got an important job from God as well. John was a bit of a loner as he grew up, and eventually he took himself away and lived on his own. A long time before this, hundreds of years, God had told people through prophets that one day someone very special was going to be born, someone who would save people, someone they called the Messiah. And John's job was simply this: to tell people that this was the time, the Messiah was finally coming and they should be ready for him. So John started telling people this message and saying that they really needed to get ready and they needed to be sorry for the wrong things they did and to try to live a bit better. And he gave them a way of doing something to show that they were going to try and be better. Baptism. Simply put, he'd take them to the river and dip them fully under the water. And in doing so, it symbolised all the wrong things they'd done being completely washed away when they were completely submerged, and then coming back up out of the water to live better. Now, people came from miles around to see John, to hear what he said, and many of them came to get baptised. Then one day, someone John wasn't expecting turned up. His cousin, Jesus. Now, we know from other stories in the Bible that John really wasn't very sure about this. Jesus was actually the Messiah, the one that John was telling people to get ready for. And he was also someone who had never done anything wrong. Nevertheless, Jesus still came with all the other people and managed to convince John, I'm still a human, I'm still a man. I need to be baptised as well. But this time, something unexpected happened. It was all going great. Jesus came, he was submerged like everyone else, but then as he came back up out of the water, something that looked a bit like a dove came and rested on him. It wasn't a bird though, it was God's Holy Spirit, the sign of a dove that symbolised peace. But if that wasn't enough, God's voice resonated around the place and God spoke and everybody heard. And God said, "You are my own dear son and I am pleased with you." Now, what Jesus did by being baptised was to acknowledge that he was fully human, standing with us. And when God's Spirit came and God spoke, Jesus was also revealed as being fully God. One man, fully human and fully God. This truly was the Messiah. This was the one who would save people. And this moment marked the start of Jesus bringing that message and that change to people. Now, you might recognise baptism as something that you've had or maybe you've seen. Another word for it in some traditions is christening, usually used when babies are baptised. Still today, baptism is used as a sign of the wrong things in our life being washed away and starting again. But our baptisms today are not just us trying harder, but they're about claiming the promises of what Jesus did when he did that saving bit that the Messiah was going to do, and we'll talk about that much closer to Easter. When we get baptised, the washing with water is a sign that our inner spirit is washed clean by Jesus, and God's Holy Spirit comes and helps us to live better. We don't have to do it on our own. God helps us. And I think that's amazing. You know, if you want to talk more about baptism or want to find out more about what it means, do get in touch. If you've not been baptised, it is always possible to do. Age is no barrier. God bless you. Have a great week and I'll see you next time.